Hey everybody, Z Garcia here. Today I'm taking a look at Skytear Horde. This is the Castle Defense Card Battler, and it is a CCG style game, kind of feels like that, meets a Castle Defense, defend the lanes kind of game. Now I am aware that there was recently a crowdfunding campaign for another edition of this with more content, but I'm going to be covering this one. That is obviously not out yet. This one is, so I'm going to be taking a look at this one. And so some of the issues I have with the game at the end of the review here might have been covered in that, but again, of course, that's a different product. This product exists right now, and you could, possibly pick this up. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. I'm going to show you an overview. I'll kind of give you a look at how the game operates on the table. We'll come on back. I'll tell you what I think of it. So here's the game set up. I'm going to go ahead and go down the turn phases, explain how the game goes, and give you a feel for how it plays out. My main objective is taking out the outsider. He's got multiple stages. I'm going to go ahead and, attack him and try to take him out. Before I do that, for him to even show up, I have to take out the first level of this portal over here. And once I do, the second one opens up and he shows up, okay? What I'm trying to do besides that is defend my castle, because that's how I lose. There's several of these castles in the game. I'm playing with the Gaping Maw, the one they recommend you begin with. It has 20 health, it has an ability, and if it ever takes those 20 hits, then I have lost the game. I've got my opening hand, which I could mulligan, and now I'm ready to begin. This track in the middle here, it does two things. It keeps track of my mana so that I can spend it, and it represents these lanes where the baddies are going to show up and where I can deploy my forces on my side here. So, starting from the top of the round here, the first one is the refresh phase. Two things. I gain mana. How much I get is listed over here on the castle, so I'm taking 4. And then the second thing is I ready any exhausted cards. An exhausted card is one of my cards on my side that says exhaust to do something. In order to do that, I would just pull it away from the line that represents it's exhausted. And once I ready it, I push it back. All right. Next up, we have the Horde phase, in which I have to summon Horde cards. The number I summon is listed right here. Now, I'm playing a very easy mode here. It's also for a single player. So this is going to be very low numbers. In fact, some rounds I don't even summon one, because the way this works is, at the end of the round, a little later in the round, this is going to click up, and the number at the top is how many new cards I summon in from this deck. And so you can change these cards to have higher numbers. And you need to if you're playing with, 2 players, for example, cooperatively. Once this castle's gone, then this one, that one. But you'll see the numbers aren't ever really becoming 2. That's a single player thing, all right? So, I'm going to go ahead and summon 1 Horde card. I draw a card, I'll put it in the leftmost open spot. So it's going to go right there, and it'll be either a monster or some sort of effect, okay? Once I've done that, if it's 1 or 2 or however many I need to do based on this number, now I am going to resolve the new cards. Let's just say for the sake of the example that it's 2 cards, all right? And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and change this up just to give you a new effect that you can see here. I'll go ahead and say that's what we got. Those 2 are brand new, we'll say. I need to resolve these. This one's a monster. It has a fight ability, so that's not going to do anything right now. And then we go to this one that is an epic monster. It has a couple of abilities, Taunt and Trample. This number up here is more mana that we, the players, get basically one time. If this was multiplayer, we decide who gets it. We can even split it 1 and 1. And there would be another token here to keep track of the second player's mana. So I would take all of it because I'm the only player. Once that's done, if anything was a spell alone, it would go away. And then we do what they call compacting the line, which means, like, if this card had been a spell and it goes away, we make sure we shift everything down so the leftmost lanes are always the ones that are filled, okay? Once we've done that with the Horde phase, drawing new cards, doing whatever they say, then we go to the Alliance phase where I get to do some stuff. I get to play Alliance cards. These cards right here, they'll be either allies or spells. And I have to pay the mana cost up here with my mana, and they sometimes will have a play effect, which happens when I play it, a fight effect, which we'll see in a little bit. They might do something when they leave the stage here. So I play alliance cards. I can engage minions, and I'll explain what that means. These minions back here. I can use exhaust abilities, and I can even move these characters around if I want to. Once that's done, then we go to the Treachery phase, okay? During the Treachery phase, I'm going to draw one card, and it has some effect on what's happening. It either, you look at the symbols here on the side, and it either makes something out here a little bit beefier, or it does some other effect. This one, for example, since it's on the left, makes the leftmost character, this one, +1 strength. Their strength is right here, so they would actually be attacking for 6 this round. You can leave this card by it to remind you, or you can take a little strength token, which is what I like to do, and just kind of put it at the top to remind me it's not permanent, it's just this round, but I'll see it that way, all right? Once that's done, and obviously I skipped playing cards myself, but I'm just showing you how this goes. Then we go to the fight phase, all right? And let's say I've got a couple of characters out here. Let's say I've got that and I've got that, all right? This one over here, by the way, has a play ability that says it deals 2 damage to a monster engaged with them. So actually, upon playing that, I would have immediately dealt 2 damage, which you can track like this, to the monster engaged with it. All right. Now we do the fight, and we resolve any fight ability on the Horde side, like this one. If Deep Howlers are not engaged, they deal 3 damage to the castle. Good. That would be bad, because I don't want to take damage on the castle, so that doesn't happen. They are engaged with this character here. I resolve any fight abilities on my guys, and then they strike each other. So these two are across one another. This one hits for 1, puts a hit right there. On mine, my Clan of the Boar here hits for 4. It hits these guys for 4. They have something called Armor 1, though, so they shrug 1 off. So they're only taking 3. And you mark it like that. And then these two fight, same deal. Then we make sure if there's any that are not defended, that damage goes straight to the castle. And if I have any that don't have anyone in front, that damage goes straight to the portal. All right? Once that's done, then we go to the Pillage phase. During the Pillage phase, all these cards back here, these are the minions in the game, are going to attack my deck. They're going to mill my deck, basically force me to discard cards, okay? If we take a look over here at the setup, which I skipped, but if you read the setup on this portal, it says that 3 of these, named here on the card, get +1 health. So it says, for example, the Yetnar, which are these, the Onikai, which are these, and the Zephylite, which are these. It says that they must each, during setup, begin with 1 health like that, okay? And now, at the end of the round, or near the end of the round, during the Pillage phase, those characters we would check the total health, and they take away that many cards from my deck. This one has 0, this one has 1, 1, 1. So my top 3 cards go away. And I lose that, and I'm trying to conserve this deck. If this goes away, I also lose the game, all right? One way for me to keep that from happening is during the Alliance phase, I'm allowed to, let's say that this wasn't here for the sake of our example here. I'll just go ahead and put that aside. I'm allowed to engage minions. I'm allowed to take one of these and pull it down and engage with it like that, so that while it's not up here, it's not discarding my cards. Instead, I'm just going to fight it. Once I do fight it, if I'm able to take everything off of it, that's great. Whether I did or not, at the end of the round, after these take away my cards, all of these minions go back up here. But while they're not up here, they don't destroy my deck. Once we've done that Pillage phase, which is step 1, they pillage, and step 2, any of the ones here go back. Then during the end phase, if I destroy this gate, we reveal the next one. After that happens, if it's the first one that's gone, I also have to bring in this big bad. And then I have to discard down to 7 cards, okay, which is rarely going to happen. You'll notice that in this game, I do not normally draw. There's no step where you draw. Like a lot of these games normally would say, you know, gain mana, draw a card, what have you. I only draw when I take out a baddie. So if I had indeed engaged with this character and taken this away, then they bounce back there, but I get to draw a card. If I take them out, I get to draw a card. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to refill my hand, have characters to play by killing these minions, sending them back by taking out these monsters. So that's the general flow. Gain mana, ready my things. They put out some new baddies that I contend with. I do all of my stuff. I pay my mana, I put out new characters, I trigger their abilities, I play spells, what have you. I engage these characters so that they, well, not that one, maybe that one, so that they're not up there hurting me. Once I've done that, we draw a new card and it does some nastiness. It's either, again, adding strength to one side or the other, or it has this little spell symbol that says, the outsider or the portal gain 2 health. Prioritize the outsider. Great. So that's something I would have to do. In this case, it would be the portal because the outsider's not yet in play. Once that's done, then we fight here. Strength goes through, or maybe they attack my castle. We do that pillaging phase where they mill my deck, and then I reset for the end of the round, and I do it again. Once I take out that outsider a couple of times, I win. If I lose my castle, I lose. But that's pretty much it. So again, that's the general 1-player mode. With 2 players, we each have a deck of cards, and we're both managing our mana. And then if you play with 3 players, then you could have, it's sort of a slightly different game, but the 2 players are doing this, and 1 player then will take over for the Horde there and doing all of the bad character stuff. So there you go. Let's go ahead and go back up top. All right, there we go. So, first and foremost, I tend to enjoy this kind of game. I love cards with powers. I love trading card games, whether they are legitimately trading card games with blind buys and all that, or games that just feel like trading card games. Games like the recently covered on the channel here, Gosu 10, games like Ratlands. All those games give me that feeling, and I tend to enjoy them very, very much. This one has some interesting ideas, but I think overall it misses the mark for me on a few fronts. And I'll talk about what those things are. So while there's certain aspects of it I appreciate and have had some good fun with, I think overall it pales in comparison to a lot of these other games in this genre, and that right there is an issue for it. It's a crowded genre. There are a lot of trading card games. There are a lot of games that feel like trading/collectible card games. This is another one of them. One of my positives is the mixture between that aspect and the castle defense lane combat, MOBA style type thing. I think that's a positive. I think that works pretty well in this game. I like the idea of knowing where you place what, being able to get through, blocking whatever you need to block so that doesn't get through to you. That sort of thing is very interesting. And then the other really big positive is the artwork here and the card design, the frames on the cards is spectacular. They really have a good look. These cards are a pleasure to look at, easy to understand. Everything is laid out well. They have that classic trading card game look, yeah, but that's an easy thing to mismanage, and this game nails that. Plus, again, the artwork is not pedestrian whatsoever. It's really fantastic stuff. It leaps off the cards. As far as the gameplay itself and some of the things I had issues with. So the mechanisms, like I said, are, or the gameplay, the style of play, is playing in a crowded field, but also I found the mechanisms are a little derivative. It's a lot of things we've seen in a lot of games. In fact, the one it makes me think of the most is the Lord of the Rings, the card game, which is 10 years old, maybe. It's been around for a long time. So this one feels the most like that, but all of the effects, if you are someone who's played trading card games, are going to be things you've seen, be things you'll recognize. So nothing that makes me go, oh wow, I've never seen that, except again for the, while not innovative, but at least fresh idea of combining the lanes with the card play. The rule book in this game is a bit of a mess, and that certainly is going to be a big hit towards it. It lacks clarity, it's clunky, there's a lot of issues and a lot of things you're going to just have to look up online to figure out what is going on. I don't like that they felt the need to offer here a Swiss Army knife of game styles. The game can be played solo against the AI, the deck you're fighting against. And that's cool. That's probably my favorite way to do it. You can also play 2-player cooperative, but you're playing to the same places. So it really has a little bit of a feel of you playing half a game, though you'll have your own stuff. But if you're very crowded, you're playing on the same area, you know. And then there's also a 3-player competitive mode. So it tries to, again, kind of be everything to everyone. And I would rather a game just focus on the one thing. I think the 3-player thing could have been dropped, and it probably would have benefited from that. There is also some deck building rules in the rulebook, but unfortunately, unless this was something you kickstarted, there are whole decks of cards. Like there's one faction, there's 3 factions in here, the good guy factions. There's a whole yellow faction, which is not in this box because it was a Kickstarter exclusive. Okay, that's fine. But the problem is the deck building and a lot of the restrictions and the ways in which you can build a deck, which are in here, those cards, reference the yellow cards. You may put these cards in your deck. You can put up to this level of this kind of card in your deck. A lot of those are yellow cards. You can't do any of that if you don't have it. And if you bought one that isn't a Kickstarter edition, you won't have it. So I thought that was quite an oversight. And it's a bad taste in your mouth, not having the deck, but being reminded you don't have it in literal preparation for gameplay. And it's, unless you don't want a deck build, which is fine, but then if you do, you'll be quickly again reminded, hey, you don't have everything for the game. You can't use this deck building card. Oh, and this one, that's going to be, you'll be severely crippled if you try to do that too, because you're missing 1/4 of the player cards. So I thought that was a problem as well. Other small things, the game has a lot of steps, which is not too bad, but it does take a lot to... It's very procedural. There's a lot of steps. And there's also a lot of sort of token management. A lot of put a 1 here, flip it over, take it back, put 2 on there. Not too bad either, but there's a lot of that as well. So there you go. Combining all of that into some final thoughts. I like some of the ideas here. And again, as I mentioned in the introduction, there is an upcoming printing of this coming out at some point. I don't know when. Which perhaps and hopefully fixes a lot of the issues with it. But for this box right here, the thing you could get right now, I think it doesn't quite reach the levels that I was hoping it would, because again, this is the kind of thing I really like. Great look, interesting card frames, and a cool idea at its core, but it doesn't quite achieve. It's got some lacking regions, and overall, for me, this one's going to come in at a 6. It's not quite there. I'm hoping, again, someday it will be. But there's too many games out there that do similar things that are simply better, have more content, are going to be a little easier to get to the table without really losing too much. Maybe the lane battling, but that's not that big of a part of this game. Like that, it doesn't feel that innovative, I guess is what I'm saying, where you go, oh, I'll never play Lord of the Rings, the card game again, even though it's got a deep, deep bench of content I could enjoy, because it doesn't have lanes. You know, I don't think anyone's going to be necessarily thinking that. So there you go. That's a 6 out of 10 from me for Skytear Horde, everybody. Thanks very much for watching. My name is Z Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.